Hi, I'm Thomas Hartmann-Boyce, Client Portfolio Manager with ARK Invest. On this season of The Switch, we're going to address the misconceptions of innovation. We will be joined by Tom Lydon with ETF Trends and ARK Client Portfolio Manager Ren Leggi to facilitate the discussion and make sure we don't leave anything unanswered. So let's get the conversation started with a look at how innovation has outperformed benchmarks over time.
So gentlemen, welcome. It's good to see you. The last 5 years, we've had some huge advancement in innovation and disruptive companies, but we've also seen some volatility too. How do we put all this into perspective?
Well, although past performance is not a guarantee of future results, if you use the ARK Innovation ETF, ARKK, as just a proxy for innovation, it's actually outperformed the broader market over the last 5 years. So if you look at the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, our research suggests that investors with a 5-year time horizon have actually outperformed both of those indices 100% of the time, regardless of endpoint sensitivity. So even if you look at the 3-year time horizon, and we used kind of rolling returns, we've outperformed, the ARKK ETF has outperformed the S&P 500 100% of the time over 3-year rolling periods, and 98% of the time the NASDAQ 100.
That's right, Ren. And there is certainly an importance when it relates to time horizon for investors. And we encourage investors when allocating and thinking about disruptive innovation to focus on that 5-year time horizon that ARK centers our research around. And again, if you look at the 5-year time horizon, just like Ren was mentioning, we outperform 100% of the time for the S&P 500 and 100% of the time for the NASDAQ 100. On that shorter basis, on that 3-year basis, the outperformance is still pronounced. But as you get smaller, given the volatility within the disruptive innovation markets, the outperformance gets lower. But again, it's important to align the time frame for investors with the time frame that disruptive innovation tends to have on the stock markets.
So gentlemen, when you think about asset allocation and asset allocation strategies, how does this work when investors are constructing their portfolios?
Yes, Tom. So according to our research, these disruptive technologies are going to impact the markets over multi-year time horizons. So it's important that investors align their holding periods appropriately. And so we think that the market cap associated with the technology-enabled innovations will grow exponentially over the next 5 to 10 years. So it's important to kind of align that. And we understand that volatility can create some fear, but that we use to our advantage, right? And so in periods, we've been very transparent that we can outperform in shorter time periods, but that gives us an opportunity to take advantage of that volatility and consolidate our portfolio into our highest conviction names. And over the longer term, we've outperformed. We've delivered those results, and we've done it and I think this is very important, right? We've done it in a consistent manner, right? Just because we're underperforming in a short period doesn't mean we, dial up the risk and try to kind of meet that benchmark, right? We're benchmark agnostic. We're not comparing ourselves to the benchmark. We're just focused on innovation. We're focused on our 15 annualized return over 5 years internal benchmark. And we're consistent in our approach. We consolidate in risk-off environments. We expand the portfolio in risk-on environments. And that's been a consistent process using our 6-metric scoring system that we've stuck to since the inception of the strategy, dating back to October 2014.
I was going to add to that in that when thinking about disruptive innovation, in our view, it makes sense to hold a weight to it within a strategic asset allocation. And while maintaining this long-term time horizon in the shorter term, during periods of volatility, it may make sense to rebalance the portfolio, for example. And the other key consideration in terms of how disruptive innovation potentially fits into an asset allocation is considering how you are accessing that disruptive innovation. So, there's often a misconception, which we'll explore further, in terms of folks getting disruptive innovation through, for example, market cap indexes, which we think is not the case. So we encourage investors to explore all these different factors when allocating to disruptive innovation.
So it's really important as long-term investors and focusing on innovation that you keep that long-term time horizon in mind. And for ARK investors, that's 3 to 5 years at least. And if you've been in ARKK, you've benefited from that long-term time horizon since inception back in October of 2014. Disruptive technology impacts markets over a multi-year time horizon, and investors should align holding periods appropriately. That's really, really important. Even in short-term periods of underperformance, ARK has been consistent with its investment philosophy and its process. And gentlemen, I know more than ever, you folks are committed to this investment process.
That's absolutely right, Tom. We're committed to the process. We're sticking to our investment process and philosophy. And we do see over the long term a huge opportunity for disruptive innovation. So again, tying all these comments together, keeping a long-term time horizon is very important when allocating to the space of disruptive innovation. So that's it for today's episode on The Switch. Appreciate all those who tuned in and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.